What's going on, guys? It's your average consumer, and today we've got a special video. You might think you recognize this monitor over here, but it's actually new. This is Samsung's latest Odyssey Neo G9. So big shout out to Samsung for sponsoring today's video and letting us be one of the first to get our hands on this monitor. Now, you guys might have seen me talk about the Odyssey G9 in the past. I featured it in my favorite tech of the month, but Samsung has gone ahead and upgraded it to have even crazier specs and features, and this thing, it's as beastly as it looks. So we're looking at a massive 49-inch display with a 5120 by 1440 resolution. And guys, this thing is basically like two monitors put together. Now, a typical monitor is like a 16:9 aspect ratio. This guy is a 32:9 aspect ratio. So yeah, you can literally treat it like two different monitors all paired up in one. So this thing has a 1000R curvature. So it's supposed to be really immersive. It's almost supposed to feel like you're in VR. That's almost the same amount of curvature as a VR headset. And I gotta say, when gaming on it, you really do feel the immersion. It is unlike anything you've experienced before, unless you've got like multiple curved monitors put together. Now, this is a beautiful monitor front and back. I personally love the design of the back of the monitor. It's got this cool core lighting RGB zone in the back, which looks super futuristic. It's of course RGB, so you can pick the color that's showing in the back or have it cycle through colors, whatever tickles your fancy. But what's also cool about this upgraded monitor is that it also has Core Sync. So with Core Sync, we're gonna be able to see games and that RGB light kind of sync together. So whatever's on the display, it'll kind of change colors in the back. We've seen this feature in some like RGB strips for TVs. Now we've got it built into the monitor itself. And while we're talking about the back of the monitor, it is of course sitting on a stand. So you can go ahead and adjust the screen. So you can actually bring it almost all the way down. So it can sit really low, or you can bring it up about this high, which is, I'd say maybe like 6 to 7 inches off the table. And it's of course adjustable. You can tilt this the way you need. So if you want it low, tilting up, tilting down, and of course it swivels. So whatever works for you, this thing can change positions quite a bit. So for a big monitor, that's a lot of flexibility. One thing that's also cool about the stand in the back is that it has this little guy over here that you can just pull down and you throw a headset on. So it has storage for your headset. So if you're wondering what that was in the back, it's there for your gaming headset. It's a gaming monitor. So of course you gotta have your gaming headset nearby, and it kind of keeps the desk clear. What's also cool about this stand is that it's got built-in cable management. So you can connect quite a few cables to this monitor and run them down right through the stand. Now, what can you connect? What kind of ports does this monitor have? Well, we've got two USB 3.0 ports, you got a display port, and two HDMI 2.1 ports. So if you want to connect a PS5 or the Xbox Series S or X, you can connect them here and get the most out of those systems. And not to mention a headphone jack, since this thing doesn't have any built-in speakers. Probably the only thing that I wish it really had. So those are all the physical attributes of this monitor, but let's talk about the most important thing, and that's the panel. So this thing is featuring Samsung's quantum matrix technology. What is that? Basically, this has quantum mini LEDs. So we've got smaller LEDs than the standard LED monitor that you typically see. What does that result into? You get way more dimming zones. Basically, you're gonna get a lot more control when it comes to lighting. So you're not gonna get as much haloing. You're gonna get better contrast. Basically, when it comes to lighting this monitor, things are gonna look a lot cleaner, which is necessary because this thing is featuring Samsung's Quantum HDR 2000. What does that mean? Of course, this thing has HDR built into it, but HDR with a peak brightness of 2000 nits. And that's extremely bright, you guys. And it allows this thing to have a 1,000,000:1 contrast ratio. So if you're watching like HDR content, like my boy John has up over here, You can see we've got like some really bright areas, but you can still see all of the detail from the walls, and it's just represented really well on this screen. And that's something that immediately is useful when you're playing, like, let's say a game, like a first-person shooter or something. So if you've got enemies around, they're not gonna be able to blend in with shadows because you're gonna be able to see a lot of that detail throughout the screen. And speaking of gaming, one of the most important specs is that this thing has a 240 hertz refresh rate. That's with HDR at this resolution. It's mind-boggling stuff with a response time of 1 millisecond. So you've got that low input lag, super fast display. I had to look for a game that kind of supported that. I think we played, what, Overwatch, Jay? And it looked crazy clean. I'm an Apex guy. I think that caps at around like 140, but having the room to kind of mess around with that is insane. And it also supports G-Sync as well as FreeSync Premium Pro. So whatever your configuration might be, this thing's got you covered. What's also cool about this is, like, if you have your PC connected to it, as well as an Xbox, a PlayStation, it'll automatically switch to whichever input is active. That feature is called Auto Source Switch Plus. Pretty basic, but it is a nice feature to have on here. So let's talk about how it feels to actually use this thing. For me personally, it's one of my favorite displays ever. Just having this much real estate gives you room for a ton of multitasking, depending on what you're trying to do. And if you're straight up gaming, the field of view is insane. Like on Apex, I almost had to turn down some of that field of view because it's just so much. And when you're using it for everyday stuff, it gives you just so much room to just have pretty much whatever you want on the screen. And I'm not talking about having a bunch of little windows. We can have full-size windows here and it just feels like it's normal. Let me show you guys what I'm talking about. I could throw a couple things up. Real quick, guys, take a look at this. We've got a nice big game open over here, YouTube video playing over here. We got Spotify on the side, even the Windows Store. It's crazy. Nothing feels small here, but we have so much going on. So if you're somebody who, I don't know, does a lot of work through multiple applications at the same time, this is a godsend. Like, you no longer need to have like 2 really large monitors. You can have a single one and have the room to just throw whatever you want on here. Honestly, it's pretty easy for me to say this is my favorite display by far. The only thing is, you know, you gotta get used to, if you have like a regular video that you're watching, you do get the little black bars on the side, but honestly, it doesn't ruin the experience. You're still getting the full aspect ratio within the size of the monitor. That's probably the only thing. You just kind of get used to this after a while, but honestly, this thing has just been awesome. It looks so clean. And look, watching this random Frank P video over here, it just looks so clean. Now, we talk a lot about being able to multitask on this, but you can take it a step further beyond just having stuff on your PC on the screen. So when you go into the settings, there's actually a picture-in-picture mode where when you turn this on, it'll basically split the screen right down the middle. So if this is what's on my display port, I can connect something with HDMI over here on the right side. I don't have anything plugged into it right now, but I can have like a PS5, another console, just straight up playing on here. And it'll cap the screen at 120 hertz. And so you're still gonna get the full effect of, you know, having your Xbox or PS5 in here. I mean, who could complain about that? You can even change the way the picture-in-picture behaves. So if you wanna have side by side, you want one to be bigger than the other, you want it to be like a smaller screen on there, you can switch it up to whatever works best for you. You get so much flexibility. You just don't see this with any other monitor. Like, they're just physically not capable of doing the same thing. This is next level. This is like one of the ultra wides I have in the man cave, with a whole extra screen over here on the side. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much everything you need to know about the new Samsung Odyssey Neo G9, one of the best displays we're gonna see in 2021. If you guys are interested, I'll of course have links down below in the description. Huge shout out to Samsung for letting me be one of the first people to check this guy out. If you guys have any questions, leave them down below in the comment section, and I'm gonna catch you guys in the next one. Till then, it's your average consumer. Peace. You know, imagine having two of these side by side. That's like, just forget it. We have the other one at the house. We need to do it. We need to put them side by side and have like four different, like have like four monitors in two. Math.
I like